On today's show, Orlando, not a magical place in Cavaliers. We'll get into the Cavs Game 3 loss on today's Lockdown.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in to your Friday edition of the Locked On Cavs podcast. I'm Chris Manning. That is Evan Dammarrell. Evan, I guess before we get into the game, just because I know you're a Broncos fan, just 30 seconds. Are you happy with them taking quarterback in round one?
Well, I would have been thrilled if they took a quarterback in round one, but with the selection of Bo Nix, this portion of Locked On Cavs is moving to Spain, but without the S, because I can't wait to watch the training camp battle between Jared Stidham, Bo Nix, and Zach Wilson, and Ben DiNucci. Can't forget Ben DiNucci as well. So not great, but c'est la vie. A little annoyed, but my 60 seconds are up, but it's all good.
So the Cavs lose to the Orlando Magic, got their stuff rocked, 97-8. Excuse me, 97 points. Looking at the wrong box score. A 121-83 loss for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Evan, there's nothing positive to say about this game. There is nothing we can say other than the Cavs got absolutely beat. The Magic trapped. Donovan Mitchell wasn't good enough. Players that got the ball put in their hands when they did the trapping were not good enough. And the Magic were really energized, back on their home court in front of a seemingly very raucous crowd. All credit to Orlando. They absolutely punked the Cavs and this is just a flat out, I think, embarrassing loss for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, we talk about a lot about worst losses of the season to this point, and I think this takes the cake for worst loss of the season for Cleveland. They came out super flat. You had noted they started throwing traps and a lot of pressure at Donovan Mitchell right away into this game, and I asked JB Bickerstaff about this before they took the road yesterday. We're recording this on Thursday evening, of course, but he said that he or we, as in the Cavs and the coaching staff, need to scheme up ways to relieve that pressure off Donovan and turn it into 4-on-3 basketball, which is frankly something the Cavs failed to do this entire game. And I think that's just kind of the through line of what went wrong right away is Orlando cranked up the pressure. You noted they're playing amped up in front of their home crowd, and it got out of hand pretty quickly. I believe the Cavs are down as much as 14 at one point in the first quarter, and I'm thinking, yeah, this one may not be their night. I guess the only positive you could say is you can lick your wounds and study the film, see what a lot of what went wrong in Game 3, and make the proper adjustments heading into Game 4 so that you can wrap up this series at home on Tuesday. Instead of coming back home on Tuesday.
Hold on.
I'm just saying that I'm saying the positive here.
I look, I respect that, but there's no need to be we're calling it like it is. They got their butts beat. Their last six quarters are going to hit you with this. This is their last 6 quarters of points.
Orlando was the first team to break 100 points in this series.
Yeah.
That number is still weird to say out loud.
Cavs' last 6 quarter total points, in terms of the points they've scored in each of their last 6 quarters, 22, 16, 21, 24, 16, and 22. This team is not playing well. There is no, I respect Evan, let's be they can look their wounds, make adjustments. This team has not shown always being great at adjustments, and they're playing bad basketball. That's just the facts. That's just where it is. That's just what they are right now. I'm taking that for what it is, and that's that they're playing really bad basketball. You scored 83 points in a playoff game in the year of our Lord 2024. That's bad. There's nothing you can say about that you can tell me. The adjustments are your players have to not completely suck across the board. That's the adjustment. Your players sucked in this game.
Well, yeah, I think that's kind of a given. I think from the top down, even Donovan Mitchell was not good in this game. And we talked about this heading into our live recording session, but Darius Garland was really disappointing in this matchup for me and for you as well, I'd say. Just because whenever the Magic did blitz or trap Mitchell or just kind of apply a modicum of pressure, it looked exactly like it did against the Knicks last year, where the opponent is forcing the ball out of Donovan Mitchell's hands and I guess, daring at this point, Darius Garland to actually do something to make a difference in tight situations like this, and Garland failed to rise to the occasion, much like he did against New York last year.
39% from the field in this game, 23.5% from three. They put in Marcus Morris Sr. and Tristan Thompson in the third quarter. They said, this game's over. We're playing these guys in the third quarter. Honestly, you come to what
they did play Evan Mobley. I don't know. It was so weird for me to see Garland and Mobley out there at times still in the third quarter. I know JB finally called off the dogs at some point in the fourth.
I mean, he didn't get the call off the dogs never got out of the house, you know? Like,
no, the dogs got out of the house. The Magic just old yellered them, so.
This game is.
Let me ask
everything.
You this, I can feel your brain spiraling. Would you consider this their worst loss of the season, regular season and postseason combined?
Yeah, because it's in the playoffs, and if you had put an alien on Earth and showed them this game and said who's winning the series, it would not be the Cleveland Cavaliers who are up 2-1.
Yeah, if it was just this game alone, probably not. But I do think it is interesting. Like, I'm surprised at how bad the end result was, but I'm also not surprised that Orlando came out swinging. It's just I think, on top of being surprised by how big of a deficit this was, I'm surprised at how lifeless and no lack of response Cleveland had in general in this game. Like, it just felt like they laid down right away and just kind of threw in the towel.
I just think you look at this game and it raises questions about the Cavs, which we're going to get into as the show goes on and think about what Game 4 could look like. But I just think this game has to raise questions. The offense has now not been good for 6 quarters. The thing they made that the Magic are doing the right defensive things to get the ball out of Mitchell's hands and make other people make plays. No one else in the Cavs is making plays. The Magic, to their credit, got really hot in the middle of the floor. Cleveland's defense still slowed them down at the rim, and the Magic were merely kind of average from three. They did make a starting lineup adjustment, which maybe helped them some as well. I think bringing Isaac off the bench and limiting his minutes probably made some sense. But they didn't even have an overwhelming offensive game. I think where you can totally say yes, this is an anomaly. Certainly, I think some of the hard-made shots in the middle of the floor maybe go down, and maybe Cleveland's a little bit better. But I think this game, considering what we knew about both teams coming into the series, this, maybe not to this extreme, but the structure of this game to me was very much in the range of things we could see in this series based on what we knew about these teams coming in. The Cavs getting overwhelmed by traps and not having other people to make plays, and the Magic just looking like a regular season version of the Magic was very much in the cards. I think what, for me, where this is now 6 straight quarters of the Cavs offense just looking bad, and they didn't really what faith would you have in them to make adjustments based on their track record? I think is the big question as we go forward here. That would be my concern.
That's an absolutely valid question. What adjustments will or can the Cavs make in this game? Because across the Rubicon, I think the numbers as you laid them out really do drive home how bad they've been offensively through just this entire postseason run. And it really just crystallizes the fact that Cleveland just hasn't been good lately. And I think, drawing an opponent like Orlando, I understand the context of it, of taking advantage of a lesser opponent. They certainly looked like that in terms of just experience or maybe just intimidation factor. But this is the perfect salve if you're the Orlando Magic, where you have regained a lot of momentum, a lot of just you feel better about yourself, because those first 2 games in Cleveland, the Magic felt very ghastly and just not great. But in this game, it's really hard to believe how poorly this went for the Cavaliers.
All right, after this, let's get into Darius Garland, who, just going to say it bluntly, sucked in this game and has sucked in this series. So we'll talk about that after this. Today's episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capability to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built in your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right in to the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder. It has room for up to 8 and expansive cargo capacity and advanced available 4x4 capability. With 284 horsepower and up to 6,000 pounds towing, when adventure calls, the Pathfinder is there to answer. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop nissanusa.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need an opportunity to get something off our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased on your life. So today, I want to see how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking the same thing this week. And that's that the Cavs were really bad against the Magic. Therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team, and it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. So look, all sympathy to Darius Garland for the stuff he went through this year. Evan, I know that that is on your mind. I know you will say it. It's very valid.
It's the first thing you'll think of when how badly Garland has looked this year. Yeah, the injuries are a part of it, but we've also talked about the fact that we are very far removed from those injuries at this point too.
He is the highest paid player on the Cavaliers. He is making tons of money. He is asked to be more than he is. He is supposed to be better than this. And guess what? He's not. Darius Garland was 2 of 10 from the field in this game. He was 1 of 4 from 3. He had 6 assists and 1 turnover. He had 5 points. He had 5 points and 6 assists in 30 minutes. He does not look like himself. On 2 of 10 shooting. He does not look like himself. He is not beating teams on the back end when the trap come and it's him 4-on-3. His passes are getting deflected. His decision making is all wonky. He's just not good enough right now. He's just not. And there's other guys in this team. Max Strus isn't shooting it well. Evan Mobley didn't hit a 3 in this game. You're not getting a lot. Levert's been pretty bad in this series. Niang has been pretty bad in this series. They're not getting anything from anyone, but Darius Garland is the biggest thing. We can get into the other guys, and just maybe the adjustment Cleveland needs to make is their guys need to play better. But someone needs to help Donovan Mitchell. Someone needs to be able to relieve pressure and make Orlando adjust back and defend in a more traditional way. It kind of has to be Darius Garland, and he does not look at all up to the task right now.
No, and that's who I really thought of when we first talked about blitzing yesterday. You had mentioned Sam Merrill, which I think is a valid pick. He, I guess, a bright spot was 3 or 4 shooting in 21 minutes, but across just finding a diamond in a bunch of turds is really kind of hard, to appreciate the diamond. But Garland has not been good this entire series. He has not been good for quite a while. He doesn't look himself physically. I think the back is still being a bit of a problem for him, but he's just been incredibly careless with the basketball. He's been very much pressing. It feels like we talked about this when they were up and down at the end of the regular season. It felt like he was kind of not mentally locked in completely. And he had said post game after game 2 with dealing with foul trouble, and that's what I gave him the benefit of the doubt. He's like, oh, the rim looked wide open. I felt like the shots were going to fall in if I had those more opportunities. Blah, blah, blah. Player speak, player speak, player speak. Clearly, the rim was not as big as Garland thought it was because he was 2 of 10 from the floor. I don't have his numbers in front of me for this entire series, but it hasn't been good. And yeah, to your note, the Magic have made the Cavs collectively work for their shots. I think Donovan Mitchell being the biggest one, and then Max Strus has been really limited too, and I think that has played a part in kind of throwing things off. Ditto for Karis LeVert, who 5 of 13, or George Niang, who has just been really struggling in terms of just finding his shot consistently. But when it comes to the blitzing and the pressure, you need Darius Garland to step up and be that guy who can break that strategy by Orlando. So sure, yeah, you can play 4-on-3 basketball, as Bickerstaff said in those scenarios, but you don't want Orlando to kind of say like, okay, we dare you to make us stop doing this. And that's exactly what I felt like the Magic were doing for the better part of this game. And now heading into a Saturday matinee game, like all the confidence is on the Magic side, and they can keep doing this until Darius Garland or, God willing, somebody else in the Cavs steps up just to kind of fix a pretty, I don't want to say a simple solution, but like it feels obvious just when you think about how this team is constructed.
Darius Garland, here's the playoffs box score so far. Game 1, 5 of 11, 4 of 7 from 3, 15 points, 4 assists. Like a decent enough game, not at the level you might want, but like by his standards of late, good enough. Game 2, 6 of 11, 2 of 6 from 3, 8 assists, 5 turnovers, had 14 points. So 14 and 8 and 15 and 4 to start. Like average-ish kind of numbers, caretaker numbers for a point guard. I think less than what his ceiling should be as a player. And then in this game again, 5 points, 2 of 10 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 6 assists, 1 turnover, a starter worse minus 22. Evan, the other guy that I think just has to, they're going to need to get more from, and you would hope he can just, like, we kind of know he's really just kind of an average shooter, but they need more from Strus as well. They just need him to make some shots. Like, Merrill gets 21 minutes in this game, a lot of that in garbage time, but I think that one of the adjustments you might see, or I might consider just to get things, would be Merrill getting more minutes, maybe ahead of a Niang if you're looking forward, maybe ahead of an Okoro even, who kind of had a nothing burger game in this one. Like, they're going to need to do something, but Strus just hitting shots, I'm going to pull up his shooting log bar in the playoffs as well as you start talking, but he needs to frankly shoot better as well. Like, everyone kind of needs to play better, but like there's guys that need to just do like basic things competently right now that they're just not. That is this team.
Yeah, I think, hamstringing it competently is a good way to put it. Strus has been pedestrian from the floor lately. I think that's completely fair. The Niang stuff is tricky just because like he, I guess, finished 3 of 8. And that's noteworthy, sure, but like he's been struggling to find shooting, and like, JB Bickerstaff hyped him up at his defense, and he like was talking about how like, oh yeah, it feels good to be recognized for that and whatever, but like the Magic are picking on him quite a bit on defense, and I don't know, man. Like, I know Marcus Morris Sr. does not play much, if at all, for this Cavs team when healthy, but maybe you pull that lever to see if like he either gives you that shooting touch because he hit a few shots, even if it was like in the mid-range, but at least give you a little bit of that grit. So like if Orlando tries to kind of get a little too cute with you, you can at least use Marcus Morris Sr. as a bit of an enforcer, just to kind of be physical and scrappy when this Cavs team was lacking physicality and scrappiness, fully expecting that they were going to get Orlando's very best in this game. Like the Cavs just didn't have that. And maybe they pull that lever and like turn to Morris Sr. instead of Niang to see if maybe he gives him a little bit of a bump whereas like Niang certainly hasn't to start this series.
I guess it's just like, and I'll give you the Strus thing. When the lever to pull is Marcus Morris, who you signed late in the season, is like what you need, that I'm like a little bit like, oh.
It's not as dark as like saying that the Cavs need to play Danny Green right away against the Knicks. So
no, but like it's in the same vein of like
it is. He's not going to be your savior, not at all. But it might just be a lever worth pulling, especially just because at least Morris Sr. may not get as bullied as much on defense as Niang does right now.
All right, Strus is shooting 1 of 5 in game 1, 1 of 5 from 3 in game 2, and then 0-4. So he is 2 of 14 from 3 through 3 games of the series. Pretty bad. All right, after this, let's look ahead to game 4. Can the Cavs turn it around? What could they do to make things look a little bit better? That's up next. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn can help you find the right people for your small business. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking at LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. They are constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a new feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That is linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions. All right, we're back here. Last segment.
Sure
So,
are.
Evan, I would say this. These are the you tell me which one you want to get into of the three things I have written down as they need to be better in game 3 or game 4, excuse me, if they're going to win and go back up home up 3-1. Number 1, a better Mitchell is just necessary. He has to, even if his scoring gets slowed and it's hard, he has to just give them more than he gave them in this game, and I frankly think drive more and be a little more aggressive. Wondering like how he is feeling physically after just not super like saying the knee is bad or anything, but just wasn't exactly the same aggression. Maybe that's due to the traps, but just a question I want to see how he looks. Number 2, they have to be more creative in getting him going. This is the one that I think is maybe the least likely. I don't know if this is in JB Bickerstaff and that coaching staff's bag to unearth something new.
Completely flip their offensive script.
Yeah, and like just even if it's just like one or two little wrinkles that like I think that would be necessary here. I think the best coaches could make those adjustments, and you would see other coaches do that. That would be something. And number 3, they just need someone else and likely one or two other people to step up. Be that Garland, be that Mobley, be that Strute. Like they need someone else to step up and take some of the pressure off of Mitchell and make the Magic react to someone else and care about defending someone else with any sort of real intensity. So which one of those or something in your head is the most interesting thing you could look at here as you're looking ahead to game?
Well, the most interesting would obviously be like, do Bickerstaff and his staff have it in their bag or their wheelhouse to make whether they're minor, mid to major adjustments to their offensive flow to get Donovan Mitchell going, to get him easier looks, to kind of beat the trap. But I think of everything like in terms of adjustments, like, yeah, you need to beat the trap. It's just how do you creatively do that? I think it's going to be like, is Darius Garland capable and comfortable stepping up? It's fair to question after this game. It's fair to question after last postseason and just kind of how bleh he's looked so far against Orlando. And like, it just feels like something's lacking, and it's kind of been that common theme all season long. But like that spark that they had towards the like right after mid-December through early January, they're playing with pace, they're playing with space, and they're just like really, really trying to play fast and get as many shots as possible. You felt like they slowed it down against Orlando, so maybe it's just the adjustment thing. That's what I'm kind of looking for most, just because like it's pretty like obvious what Orlando was going to do to you. It was pretty obvious that the Magic were going to be amped up on their home court with their crowd and everything, and just having the luxury of sleeping in their own bed for like that mental just, refresher for them. You knew all this was going to happen. You came out completely flat. Like, yeah, a lot of it does fall on the players in terms of executing the game plan, but it is a lot more, I think, in my opinion, on the coaching staff of like building a game plan that sets them up for success, because the Cavs had no answer to what Orlando threw at them tonight. And like, that's unacceptable because it's just really bad game by game preparation.
How confident are you that the Cavs will look better in game 4?
So that's the tricky thing. I think offensively, I don't believe they're going to be like instantaneously world beater better. I think it's going to be really hard for them to adjust a lot of this stuff really quickly. I think you can make the small changes to make it a little bit more palatable. But for me, like the Cavs just have to bring that oomph defensively that they had in game 1 and game 2 that made you think like, okay, they could be packing their brooms possibly if like they kind of hit Orlando hard enough to open this game and keep the Magic feeling comfortable, or like letting Paolo Banchero build a bunch of momentum and get up a bunch of shots instead of making him work for them. Or just, like Jalen Suggs, like a bit of an albatross, him hitting those 3-pointers, but like also just getting really clean looks at the bucket. Like, you kind of have to rough up this Magic team and make them feel intimidated and make them feel threatened, or else like, it's going to be another frustrating game for Cleveland, because the Magic are definitely feeling themselves after 1, being home, and 2, like putting together a very strong statement win in game 3.
The last thing I would say is I do think the starting lineup change was helpful to Orlando, and how, if the Cavs did that throw the Cavs off in some way, did what having Wendell Carter around instead of Jonathan Isaac, what challenges can they alter back there to kind of get the defense a little more tight in the middle? I still think if you look statistically, yes, Orlando's offensive efficiency, great. They still didn't do great at the rim, which has been the backbone of the Cavs' defensive game plan this entire series. They were about average from three. They were kind of due, I think, to bounce back a little bit from three based on the fact that they'd just been absolutely horrendous. Before that, Isaac makes two. Banchero, was 4-9. Wagner still only 1 of 5, but, Suggs hits 3 out of 5. They got enough from three there. Does that kind of stay where it is? And what does that mean? I think Game 4 is going to kind of tell us, I think, it's cliche, I think, a little bit, but I think Game 4 is going to tell us what this series is going to go to. If Orlando comes out and looks pretty similar to this and the Cavs look kind of similar, I think like what Game 5 looks like and where this series is going, we're going to have a real series on our hands here, I think, if the Cavs like don't kind of show up in a different way for Game 4 and if Orlando kind of stays looking like this. If this is like they found a rhythm here, they look a little more comfortable, this is on now.
Yeah, it's definitely on. I think the series is already there just because Orlando made a strong statement, but like it's anybody's ball game if the Magic defend home court, because it's like a tried but true cliche that the playoffs technically don't begin until you win on the road, or the visiting team wins on the road, but it will remain to be seen. Like both teams defend at home court. Can the Cavs put it together and take care of business, or they really are going to be feeling themselves quite a bit when they head back to Cleveland on Tuesday, which we don't know the exact time of yet, but we shall see. It all really depends on what happens with the Suns game tomorrow. But like for now, the Knicks lost, so there's going to be a little bit of a kerfuffle when it comes to like what time the Cavs play on Tuesday. But like if you're Cleveland, you want to come back 3-1 and just wrap the series up at home, because the Cavs are clearly a much different team on the road than they are at home this postseason.
So here's our plan for Locked On Cavs. We will be here with you on Sunday. That'll ostensibly be like our quote-unquote Monday episode. We're going to just run based on the game. So we're going to the game is on Saturday at 1. We're going to record on Sunday sometime in the afternoon. Time TBD exactly, but we will get to that. Record, have your recap up of that game sometime for you on Sunday, so you aren't waiting too long to get our reaction to Game 4, which is, again, a huge game. But until then, I'm Chris. That is Evan. Thanks again to Jake Stevens, as always, for his work on production. Enjoy the NFL draft.
I sure didn't.
I'm going to say something glib.
24-year-old game manager who, like, whatever. Okay, just... At least I'm not the Falcons. At least I'm not. My team's not the Falcons. Michael Penix Jr. and Kirk Cousins. What a quarterback room.
Have a great Friday, everyone. Be well. Stay hydrated. Enjoy the